There's the Aaron on. There's the rain on. You ever just whip out your phone to make a video and then it starts to rain? It's quite nice actually. I'm up the hill of beans in case you can't tell. Day 2 of my 30-day challenge, and I walked all the way to the end because it's Sunday and it's nice, and yeah, I've enjoyed it immensely. Listening to a very profound discussion between Mo Gawdat and Daniel Priestley, which is interesting because I heard Daniel Priestley on a podcast earlier this week when he was talking with Ali Abdaal, and I've already mentioned him in my videos this week, and I had a nice comment back from him. So if you're watching this one, Daniel, thank you. I appreciate you commenting on my video. Your discussion with Mo was just incredible, and that concept that you mentioned about realising that you were just a dot in the rich tapestry. I had a moment like that, and you made me think of it, which I have talked about on my channel before. But as you've made me think of it, it's reminded me of that moment, and that I seem to have forgotten it. Or not forgotten it, it's just lost its effect on me. And that was a moment where, for the first time ever, since I started at university in 1993, with low self-esteem and problems, alcohol, drugs, etc. It was the first time ever that I'd come to an understanding about my own opinions about some Russian literature that I was reading at the time. A short story by Andreev called The Seven Who Were Hanged. Would it be Same Powieszony? Something like that. I can't even remember the actual title. And that moment for me was, I don't think it was quite like the pixel or the dot. It was more, actually no, it was. I think it was exactly what you said. It was a moment of feeling the harmony of everything. Feeling that, I don't know, it was like the sun was rising over a copse of trees, and I was sitting on a bus going from London to St Andrews. Early morning, because I'd freaked out and ran away because I was facing this presentation, literature presentation, which, you know, performance anxiety was part of my life then as well, but it was more to do with imposter syndrome and feeling like I didn't fit in, which was a big part of my life and still is to some extent, which is what I mean when I say that I've kind of forgotten the impact of this moment. And it was that, you know, as the sun came up over the copse of trees, and I was reading this book and I was frantically writing my notes because I was going to have to give this presentation when I arrived back at St Andrews that day, and I ended up rewriting the whole thing when this moment arose as the sun came up behind this copse of trees, and I just felt this incredible moment of clarity, such that I'd never really experienced before. And I turned the whole thing around, and I ended up with a message of hope coming from the end of this book, where 7 criminals are hanged, because that's what had come to me as I felt my place in the world. And it was just incredibly powerful. And I got a good mark for that presentation, even though my professor said he didn't agree with my conclusion. I had presented it really well and backed it up with examples, etc. And the idea was that, I think the final line of the story was something like, and thus the men met the rising sun. meaning they'd just been hanged and that was the end of them. But I took it to mean they'd just been hanged and they'd gone on to something better, which I don't think was what my professor thought was the message of the story, but that doesn't matter. And I realised then that opinions are just opinions, and none of them really matter at the end of the day, because as Daniel said in his podcast in the interview, that after 4 generations we'll all be forgotten, dust in the wind, which might not seem like a hopeful message, but in some ways it is, because it teaches you that the little day-to-day problems, which for us at the moment are mainly financial, they're not really that important. It's a message for me as much as for you. How do I keep that in mind as I open up my bank account and see what's going on in there, which is messy. But yeah, I would urge all of you watching this to go and listen to that episode. The podcast is called Slo Mo, and it's hosted by Mo Gawdat, hence the Slo Mo. And after having listened to Daniel Priestley talking with Ali, I had a feeling it was going to be about entrepreneurship, but it really wasn't. It was about life and meaning, and a bit of entrepreneurship, but how we can be entrepreneurial about life, which is just, it's the message I needed to hear. So thanks Daniel and Mo for such a profound discussion. As Mo said, he's going to go back and re-listen to it. I'm sure I will as well. I'll sit down and make some notes because it was quite profound. So I'll put a link in the description to this, so anyone watching this video can jump straight into Slo Mo with Mo and Daniel Priestley. From the Hill of Beans, this is Cams. Speak to you later. Bye.